Welcome back, guys. Crypto Sniper. Yes, great news for you today. Interesting news for you today. And a little bit of a revision of what we've recently said as well, which will include DOT. It will always include Bitcoin, the big bad Bitcoin. Why its next key level is 60,000. That you will learn about that now today when we switch to the charts. You will also be hearing why we've actually even upgraded Binance. And actually, I've got a prediction that will see you hit the other side of $400. And how you could have been in earlier if you were with us in our amazing community in both Binance and, of course, in Bitcoin and many of the tokens. But you get to hear about them as soon as we're free and able to let you know about them. In fact, some people have been even sending in questions and asking, I'm not sure. I kind of like what you're doing on YouTube, but I don't know if I ever should book a call because what if I waste my time, for example, as one of those things? And I want to tell you the calls are typically pretty short, around 25 minutes, can go up to half an hour tops. You're going to receive a sample of all that we do in the premium space, a small sample by registering for the call. It'll come on your email address. Plus, you'll get our newsletter. Plus, you will have a friendly face, a member of our community who will take you through a couple of items. He is not a professional salesman at all. He's someone who's part of our community. And you can talk about experience, trading and everything. There is no obligation at all to buy. And even once people have bought, we give a money back guarantee within a certain period of time, 14 days. So it's actually no risk and we're okay with it. We understand. If you ain't ready today, maybe you'll be ready in a year's time, in 18 months time, in 3 years time, maybe never, but you just have a great experience. You get a better idea of what something is and you get to know whether it's for you or not. It's simple as that. There is no hard sell. So that's one of the objections why people don't hit the link that's being shared right now and book a call, because they think they might be wasting their time. I'll be covering one objection every time, just so that you know that will be, there's nothing to lose and you should make great use of that opportunity. Anyway, welcome and thank you for the shares. We appreciate that. Been not going through on Facebook at the moment because we've been bad. So if you share on Facebook for everybody else, that's appreciated. We can't at the moment because we don't like vaccines too much and they don't like us not liking vaccines. Oh dear, anyway, so what am I going to talk about apart from that? Well, we'll do a revision of DOT. So we're going to cover Bitcoin, we're going to cover Binance token, and we're going to cover DOT, which we spoke about yesterday overall. So let's get straight to the charts. We've got to start with the God market. So we go straight on up and we talk about Bitcoin. Here we are. Welcome. So this is kind of how it's gone. I want to just give you the rundown and the idea. You know some of this already because you've been watching maybe some of the other vids. Some people are just coming for the first time. Welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell. People are being deregistered from the bell. You've got to go back and keep hitting the bell, okay? So that it's always that you get notified. Otherwise, you'll miss these streams. Okay, we don't monetize, and for that reason, we're not that popular. So what are we talking about in the big time frame? Why have I brought up the 60K? Somebody else has already thrown out the 70. Many are getting ahead of themselves. They want to throw out the bigger number, 100,000, etc., etc., etc. And I call it a bit of a pissing contest on who'll throw the biggest number out. We've said all along, you're in a first cup gold nugget macro that you've never had before in the history of Bitcoin's 12, 13 years, whatever it may be, history. In other words, this halvening cycle set up the first macro upside HVF, which means you will have super overperformance because it's on a mega time frame. In fact, it was 25% of the entire existence of Bitcoin. That's right, from that 2017 high all the way until it broke in 2020. So it is huge. It is huge. It is absolutely huge. And it will definitely overperform. So there will be big numbers that could come out of it. But along the way, you will have sell-offs. And we've seen some of that. We recently had this sell-off, which we highlighted in the red head and shoulders zone over there. That performed, left a little bit of a level there that we touched over there. Key levels of significance. By the way, other people say, I'm learning a lot from watching the YouTubes. Why do I need to be in your community? This is totally free. I'm getting loads. I'm already a better trader. Man, oh man. Wow. You have no idea. On that objection, I have to say, A, there's so much more you will be learning inside the community. B, it's not how you interpret and implement HVF. It's how you get to see other people with more experience than you implement it. It's the advanced techniques. There is so much more to learn. If you've learned something for free, let me just assure you, the multiple is about 10 in terms of the experience. Plus, it's community, sharing of trade ideas and assessing, helping others grow, teaching what you seek to learn in an organized, high-quality, premium community. That's what you're missing out on by not being in. That, turn back at the head and shoulders. We've spoken plentifully about the bigger green inverted head and shoulder reversal. And actually, that right there is your 60K number. So if you want the answer, why 60K? You haven't already scooted on to 75K. It's not because I don't believe it's going to go through at some point 75K. You want to take it a step at a time. There are points where the market rests. If you are trading with some degree of leverage, remember, don't be over leveraged. Light leverage is what works. But if you have some leverage at the key moments, you had real opportunities going to our TG Pink. You had real opportunities to grab the falling wedge breakout there. You had a secondary opportunity to grab it there. You had a third opportunity on the broadening structures there and there to get in. And then you had an upside HVF break right over there. All of these things were giving you ins that have been accumulation. So we've quietly accumulated. You add size slowly and you add small bits of size so that even your total size is still moderate or medium. Only when you're high confident, and you must have stop levels that'll take you out if you're wrong. You must have a high probability expectancy that you're likely to be right. We have continued to assert that this is a recovery structure, and it has continued to assert that we're probably accurate. As the minute it tells us otherwise, we know and we cut and run, and we have clear-cut money management levels to get out. People think that direction is the answer. Many people watching this YouTube think if they've got the direction and which token they're going to make money. I'm afraid you can lose money going up, especially if there's light leverage, and even more so if there's moderate amounts of leverage. If you don't have stops in the right place and some points where you actually take off that leverage and you get close to square, if not entirely square. So where would that net square possible point be? Don't forget, we still have investment pot, the blue. So we're fully invested. We'll still get what all the other people that are hodlers are getting, even if we're 100% square. So where's that next point being? And how accurate is it likely to be? You can see the 60,000 is run. And where did it come from technically? It came from this assertive draw that we have continued to say to you throughout all this time is a potential reversal. Yes. So how's the other levels done? Remember, we first gave you 51.5. Quite some time ago, we said we need a return there. You got that return there. Look at it there. Look at it there. This was early on, 2-3 videos ago, when we were still trying to form and we were assuming and guessing that we were getting inverted head and shoulders. You got them. That 51.5 was endorsed. You broke, you returned. Also, you could have got in earlier on the HVF break over there. We'll watch it on a lower time frame. We'll drop into that. You'll actually see little squeeze occurred inside a squeeze. These little things make all the difference when compounded, guys. Entries absolutely matter. For all the guys that think they're getting it broadly right and have got a broad idea of what we're doing and broadly implementing, you don't know how much overtrade entries you're leaving on the table by being later. Quick example, by the way. We're going to be talking about Binance token. The difference between you getting in now and getting in when I was adding back in. And bear in mind, you don't add 1,000 units in a short time frame. Most of it was occurring here. Now, others will enter over here. Which is the better? Well, I can tell you, it's not about the profit that you make between there and there, which is great, that has been left behind by the guy who's arriving late. It's about your risk management to a stop. One is that big, and the other to the same level of risk is that big. And that is night and day. And that actually sees you need to be more than 1/10 my size. Because if you're early, you can be bigger and still be on lowish leverage. Why? Because this loss can represent no more than $1,000. It's made about 25. It was probably a risk of about 1,500 on the early entries. Early entries matter. That's well over 2 programs in a single entry. If we can't do that for you, then you won't appreciate what we're all about. So we're talking about Bitcoin, but we brought up Binance. Let's go back to those charts. and say, why the 60K and why should we believe that it has some credibility? Well, all the levels along the way, let's tick them off. You saw it here. We'll stay with the pink. The 51.5 has certainly been validated a number of times. You've seen them all along, and we've covered it many times with you. And it was a late break just above our funnel entry there. Then we highlighted to you why the 5,500 at that time will be the next core important level. When we were here, what happened? You went into a broadening structure, you hit the top, you hit that 55,500, as we suggested it would, which incidentally was the neckline of the legacy head and shoulders over here. You hit it, and that was the moment you took a little bit of a rest. You could have traded within that. At the moment, I'm not overly interested in that. I'm moderate to light size. I'm net long. I'm staying in it. I'm not jumping in and out. I'm not 100% on the screens, but I could have put a bit of a take profit and bought back. Where did it bottom? 53, round number, on the nose, 53, just through our second interim of our ascending HVF that you'll learn about if you take a program that was essentially set up over there. What are the risks of an ascending HVF? How will it work? Well, you can learn all about that. Grab the link. So that validated the 55, and it also came back and validated the second interim after we also slowed down. Note how you were impulsive from this move up to here, and then you were grinding thereafter and broadening. Let's have a look at that in a smaller time frame so that you can fully appreciate that. So this is all about Bitcoin analysis, and we'll be popping over to Binance, and we will also revisit Dot, who came and had a little bit of a pullback overnight as well with Bitcoin. So here it is. 51.5 we've covered, 55.5. Note, you pull back, you sit, you get the 53, you validate that level. Then what do? You reach for it one more time, then you trade above it. You trade above it and a little below it. This is how you overcome a key level of significance. First, you reach for it, you don't quite make it. Then you reach for it, you just run it, then you pull back. Then you run through it, and you come back down around it. So now you're pivoting around that key level of significance. That's there. A little bit above, a little bit below. There it is. And now you're getting beyond it, and you may, at the worst case, if you sell off, support on it, but possibly you may have left it permanently for the short term under review. Note also that I've drawn a structure over here with our basing ascending grind line, and it also happens to have a capping ascending grind line. That means we actually have the two components of a rising wedge that is giving us a rising wedge, and we put our splitter through it that perfectly captures the broadening structure and where we are now. And this says, okay, you might have a sell-off out of the rising wedge, but in hyper bull season, as we've seen, we've had many ascending structures with marginally higher highs and then run upwards. So you can actually have a melt up out of the top. So 55,500 is met. We have a rising wedge. What else can we see and learn about Bitcoin's progress that's going on here? By the way, don't forget the comments. We'll be watching it. I'll be referring to them. We like to see your comments. We want to see you engaging. Tell us what you think about Bitcoin. Are we going to see 60,000 before this weekend is out? Do you think we'll trade 60K before Monday? That's the question I would like your answer from. So actually, this is quite low vol. Had a little bit of a shooting star and a little bit of a hammer. Why? It's sitting on our splitter. It's now just crossing the midway line of our rising wedge. It's getting into the top half. And it's chilled. It's not super volatility and climbed rather nicely. So what could happen? A marginally higher high, a little bit of a rest, a pause, squeeze into here, and then a pop out the top to make our 60K. Then you could get either that, a little bit of a rest back down, revisit the 55, possibly, or you could go melt up for a while, and then we could run well beyond. So the 60K might be an inflection point for just acceleration and a blow off, which could run you all the way to 75 and then smash back down to 63. Who knows? I can't answer that, but a key inflection point will occur when 60 runs. So that doesn't mean 60 is being called to us by us as a relative high. It's an inflection point. It could be a point where it turns back down after a little bit of a run through. So that means 61, 62, 63K can be run and then it sells off 10. Or it could just go through the moon and you could be waking up and you could even have traded an 80 and then next day we trade down $20,000. That's all possible. So we'll either accelerate or we'll reverse. We'll go into blow off or we'll reverse. That's what we're calling because there's a wedge. That's what happens at wedges. Squeezing volatility, heading upwards. That's the call. So 60K is a key level. It's not necessarily a local top, but it could be a key level that could see an inflection in speed. So you might remember that we said of all the others, ADA's a little bit bloated and looking a tad tired. And I think that's been validated. Since our call, you can see that it hasn't made much progress over this time, while Bitcoin has indeed been progressing. And DOT, which we'll be referring to, has also progressed, although it's had a sharp pullback. That grind line there, this grind line there, this is showing quite a bit of tiredness inside the other camp. Bear in mind, crypto overall is feeling quite bullish, so it's holding its own, but it's not technically beautiful right now. So that was the right one to buy us away from during this period. Let's go to DOT because we spoke to you about DOT yesterday and we will remind you of it, and then we will finish with our upgrade. Actually, we already said Binance will be great when we mentioned DOT. We just felt DOT was going to be especially good. Now we're giving Binance a double upgrade and we'll show you why. We saw fresh insights, new insights that are regularly shared immediately with the community for them to act on. So 2 hourly, that's our DOT structure. You can see them. In fact, I'll leave the eye a little bit on. You've got a small micro head of shoulders. That's the neckline. I've done it in big for you. Let's show it to you in the pink. It made its target. It bounced in that little squeezy over there. The second most important dot wind up for this particular structure. And we continue to still expect it to run through the target that we gave you last night. So Bitcoin came off. DOT came off a fair amount. I would have liked to have seen it show a little bit more relative strength, but it's clearly getting to that core support area and it's getting a rally. Remember, it's not a straight line journey. The next key level for DOT is going to be approaching the 42 mark. So it needs to come up, get back up there, maybe wind up a little bit, get a bit of power and pace. And this could come, remember, with Bitcoin doing its run for 60. Bitcoin starts to getting its jogging shorts on and its lightweight running shoes, and it will lift the likes of the platform tokens. FBTC continues to look a little tired, still got a lot to do. Ethereum has been hurt, the platform tokens are going to walk. Others had a big move, looking a bit bloated. DOT and BNB are very interesting, and they technically set up to respond. So this is 100% in order. Your stop loss should not have been run. Your stop loss is there. And by the way, after this bounce, I wouldn't tolerate even there in terms of take back. So that's where we stand on a DOT. So let's give you the Binance, because this is the big one. And around when I was discussing this in a update with the community, we finally built the HVF because it was a little bit non-plus, a little bit confusing. It wasn't classic structure for a couple of reasons. And this is what we concluded, $400 when we did that draw. You won't have seen that until now. But we had that draw done very shortly after I streamed to you yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? Maybe it was the day before. The day before. And what's ended up happening since then is our draw's been 100% validated. You'll see this. Had me worried. It looked down, it looked up, it looked down. I jumped in, so we're in over here. Then I took some profit. I didn't like that. It looked a little bit sell, but this is a little wind up. Where did it occur? exactly on our second interim. Only HVF method gives you resting points and places where you can expect progress decay when heading for a target. It's the best method you thought you knew how to trade, but really don't. It's as simple as that, guys, about implementing. And it was beautiful. Key inflection point right in there. And we built the HVF back from the key inflection point. You'll learn about key inflection points when you are in the community. Boom. So we're at this resting point. You could have actually been in from 243.95 to $400 on a major token, guys. Binance, let's just not forget, I don't like their trading platform. I still don't like their trading platform. But there is big stuff going on in terms of them in other ways. It's number 3 token. It's number 3 token. It's the big story. Binance is the big story of the last 6 months. It's number 3 token. It's at almost 50 billion market cap alone. Just the token. Never mind his rest of his businesses. He went in 6 months from someone who started the platform to a billionaire in 6 months when he first started. Now, let me tell you, it's happened all over again. He's never had so much money in his world. Good luck to him. Seems a bit control structure friendly to my taste, but nonetheless, you've built a token, essentially, that's been issued. Remember, there's no intrinsic value. It's not much better than a fiat. It's just digital. But, you know, you get privileges if you're using his trading platform, etc., etc. But now he's put smart chain on the end of it. And now Ethereum is having its dinner eaten by the likes of DOT and Binance token. And it's ahead of ADA and it's ahead of DOT. And it's at number 3. There is more Binance than Theta. It's quite a lot. That's quite a lot. Heading for, and not by a little bit, by 10 billion. It's heading for 50 billion. And if it goes from, it's 298. Don't forget, you could have had it at the 240s. If it goes from 240 to 400, that's virtually 80% again. 80% on roughly 50 billion. You're going to find yourself another 35 going on 38 billion on top of 50 billion. You're going to be at about 88 billion. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. Don't forget, if we have a $400 target, there's a chance it can run through that. It doesn't stop on a dime at the number. And it could overperform us a tiny bit. There is an outside chance. We don't want to get too giddy here. There's an outside chance it goes further. And remember, it won't be a straight line and it won't be tomorrow. You might be hearing it. This might only come true 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 3 months from now because it's big moves we're talking about. There can be a number of twists and turns and pullback. But you've just missed getting in, as we showed you here. And you could have taken a tactical trade. It's now turning into shooting star, where it ran right up to 313, and you would have been in from, wait for it, if you wanted to just trade small time frames, you could have taken a quick in and out from 284 to 314. So that's what's possible with HVF method. This is what's possible with Binance. That's our draw for Binance. We didn't have a target for you when we spoke, and now we're giving you one. That is pretty exciting. By the way, this rejection could come back down. I would like to see this area support if it keeps coming down all the way back down. And for it to build on that. That would mean there's more chance of it being done in a quick time. It could quite easily pull all the way back down to there. And then you'd have a decision to make. Have you got the courage to trust in a system to be a buyer at this level to trade for the 400? Only you will know if that matter and moment arrives. Let's have a look at some comments. Thank you for the time, says somebody. It's Rami. Pleasure. MV40K. 60K coming this weekend, says MV. What do you guys think? MV18 or 48 says 60K this weekend. A crack at the Saturday. Yep, sounds fair. Are you worried about volume drop on the weekly time frame? I'm assuming you're talking about Bitcoin. If you ask a question and you don't give all the information, then it's hard to guess, but I'm assuming you're talking about volume on Bitcoin on a weekly. And if you are, you're probably referring to a little bit of that. Remember, the biggest volumes are in the panic sells. The biggest volumes are in the panic sells. There. And there was a panic sell period there. In between that, since the bull market, remember the bull market's officially called from here, that break, July, the volume is, this is the volume we're interested in. And it's roughly at the same levels. It is down a little bit because you had a spiky period here. And the spiky periods occur when you have corrections. So you've got to be careful what you're comparing the volume to. Compare it to other bullish periods since the first cup gold nugget break in the HVF. So this was huge because of the sell. It settled down around these levels. We can put a moving average. As I've said before, it's the only place where I kind of okay with them. And it's useful. I want it painted black. But it won't exclude the super high spikes of the selling period. So you have these build up to a climax and a sell-off. That's always going to be higher, significantly higher. Immediately into and high. It's this moving average is still responding upwards because of that sell-off. I would maybe have a shorter time duration so it doesn't carry as much weight. And you could change the moving average inputs. You could do it to just a 3. It'll be a lot more sensitive. So yeah, this week I would say is normal compared to the other bull market weeks. And the one we're currently in, which is about 60% of this week, is not finished yet. I'm not entirely sure when they complete them. 1st of March, we're the 11th, so that went from 1st to 6, 7, and this is going from 8 to 11. So you've had 8, 9, 10, 11 days. 4 days, you're still going to have all of today, tomorrow, Saturday, and then it seems they're starting on the Sunday for the new week. So there's quite a bit more time to come. So it quite likely end up pretty close to there. So I don't think there's anything big in volume. I don't think there's any big problem with volume. Do you think the BTC dominance will go up if BTC makes an all-time high again, says PS? It's a good question. We haven't looked at BT dominance in a while. What do I make of this technically? Let's clear the face. We did have a bit of a rest. So that was the period. Then we had a blow off of dominance. And this is very interesting. It's a little bit skittish. It's a lot of spinning tops. Not so much spinning tops, but rickshaw boys. That means there's slightly higher wicks to the upper and smaller side. It's not super low volatility. This over here, this very last candle, which given that I'm on a weekly is not too bad, somewhat supportive and buoyant. So there's money coming back into Bitcoin. Big Israeli pension fund announced that it's bought a whole swathe of GBTC, that is the grayscale fund. So more pension fund investment. These guys are stuffed with garbage. They need to fill up with something else. Because if they stay in with debt, their customers are busted flushes and their ability to meet their commitments will be spoiled. So back end of 2020, pension funds piling into Bitcoin. That kind of spells good. It's got too big. It's gone too far to be ignored. It's now going to be deemed an asset class. There's enough people with faith in it now. The herd starts to follow. It's kind of like, you know, you're going to get everyone wearing a mask because you put all the celebrities in masks. It's kind of the herd. Only this is a more positive herd for us because we were the first or the early ones. So dominance looks like it could get a bit of an upside, but it's not a pattern per se of great conviction. It's been a bit volatile. It's a bit indifferent. Moderate down leg, bit of broadening. It's a little bit of a spiky spike followed by quite an extreme dump. So there was obviously some alts that just really ran, and that would have been, again, the platform alts, the bulk of beneficiaries. There's some DeFi stuff that's outside the top 10 that has also done pretty well. We've seen NEM catch up a little bit. We've seen Aave and Uni stormed into the top 10 now. So there's been a bit of alt action. And some of the ones that have deemed to have some cream behind them are now in the top 10. Uni, who else has come up? Theta's come up a lot. NEM's come up a lot. Aave's been there and thereabouts for a while. Luna, I've not come across. It's in the top 20 now. Monero's now down at 23, so it's slipping a little bit. Privacy's not the flavor of the month right now. But I think its day will come. IOTA, Solano, VeChain just behind it. Avalanche, probably the first time I'm seeing it. I know very little about it. So we've seen that there has been. Let's look at the total too. What you can see from this is that you have now finally run the previous high. Where would you draw a round number of significance here? One of the most important round numbers of significance. This is a big time frame for the total. It's in a log scale. One of the most important would be the 500 billion mark. So we'll see if we can stay above that. There we go. It seems I had it covered already. All I had to do was draw a line. So yeah, so that's a little bit on total. We had a long time ago suggested there was a double bottom on total and that would be run. You can again see legacy analysis. It's been a while since I was doing it on here. You can see you ran that target and then you rested and you churned for quite a while here before you got back on your bike. Then you squeezed in one of those wedges. We said there would be a move, either down or up, but it's going to be an inflection point, which will mean speed. Speed up or speed down. And it went up. It ran the 500 trillion, which was higher than the 17 high, the end of 17, beginning of 18 high. And since then, you've been in a little bit of a chill out period. You've just run a key psychological level, a bit like Bitcoin on the 50K. Or even the 20K when it did that some time back. Seems a long time ago. So how's it looking now? Falling wedge. It's again bumped into a legacy target from a draw we'd done over here. It's doing a falling wedge around that. And it's possibly just bumped out of it, can do a return move. Likelihood of more continuation, but you can see you've had a longer stall period here, while you're in quite a steady upward channel climb for a long period, right the way into here. But when you hit the key level of significance, blow off, zigzag, wild volatility, then a squeeze, and then a pop out. So I would say upwards in time on the 2-hour time frame for total 2. But not all alts are going to give you the joy. And being in the right ones is part of the game. So a healthy position in Bitcoin and then selective switching between real winner alts. Recent real winners, Binance Coin, Uni, Dot, and ADA. ADA tired now. Dot Theta, we are happy and confident with, but it's having a pullback. Binance, we're very confident with. Haven't looked at Uni, can take a look at it, but I expect it's been very, very strong. I hope that answers the BTC Dominance. Total to continue to grow, but only just taking it out its high. Remember, Bitcoin took out its high at 20K. It's almost, we're talking 60K. So Bitcoin got the early part. That early part of Bitcoin dominance up is the fact that Bitcoin got ahead. How much will it stay ahead, or how much will it slowly dissipate? Well, pension funds aren't going to go for the Johnny-come-lately alts. So I think Bitcoin's going to be kept in the race and going to be a pretty good performer. But I will also make use of the mega moves in the significant tokens, which will, during those periods, significantly outperform Bitcoin for those runs. But on down legs, remember, they can come down a lot harder. So we'll have a look at Uni. AVAX will be top 10, someone declares. Squeezing on XEM, says Nathan. So we have a guy in our community who's working with NEM. We have great, interesting people in our community. So I'll even take a turn by there. Not yet for me. Doesn't look right. Uni. On the 2 hour, done well, but yeah, sold off a wee bit last night. Popping out of a wedge. Looks okay. I think there might be things that are a bit faster, but I think it's still quite buoyant. It'll still do just fine. XRP, Link. Wow, everybody's shouting out their tokens. Well, we'll do a couple. We'll do ETH because it's a big one, but it's disappointing, I think. But it's a biggie. It's still disappointing. It's not terribly disappointing. It's not bad. It's not an XRP. It's also just come down. This is common to a few of them. And just bumped its way out. So I would expect chances of it to set up and start a new move up. So I think it will move up. It's just Bitcoin isn't cooling its heels for nearly as long. It keeps marching a little bit more consistently. But ETH had done quite a good channel of catch-up. Looks very much like the total too, because ETH is a large part of it. It's still one of the biggest constituents. Your favorite token as Link, I think Link, let's have a look. Not as good a recovery as ETH. Since its crash, but it is not too far off where it was before. It's absolute high. Channel down. It's okay without being special. It's okay without being special. Compared to the ones that I've looked at, I think they'll all move up to a degree, but the ones we've looked at will way outperform. And Link is going to be there or thereabouts, but it's not going to be more special than the ones we've shown you. And the ones we've given you real reason for that have high percentage moves. $243 on Binance to $400. If we go through $400, think about that. And you can still have it in the 200s now. Sub 300. You can still have it in the sub 300 now. So that's over 33.33%. It's worth looking at. It's worth looking at. What else have you got for me in the questions? Muhammad says, do REEF and Dizzler. That's two, Muhammad. You're being greedy. I'll grab the first one. That's daily. It's quite a recent token. I think in time that will become an interesting trade technically. In time it will become an interesting trade technically. So It didn't enjoy the Bitcoin sell-off, but actually didn't do too bad. It didn't come down too violently, but it did come down consistently. Built a low here. Gradually rolling off. Right now, it's still slipping and edging down in an environment where you've got Binance, what's doing what I just showed you it did. It just charged on a small wind-up from 282 to 317. So it's more about what's it going to do for you right now and in the near-term future. Watch it. If it holds its levels okay and comes and drifts down to the 32 levels and then starts to build up, it could set up in time a nice setup for you. And then the interesting bit comes here. Do you want to park your money in that till then while other tokens are moving? You've got to decide. And what if it doesn't? What if it does something else? Hashgraph has done really well. So I'll go past Hashgraph. And it's an interesting one. I heard about Hashgraph early. More efficient than blockchain. The problem is it's owned, say people, but it is interesting. And that's an example of a squeezing rising wedge into. So right now, it's definitely not a buy. So you've got two shooting stars and the second one is engulfing it. And they've both exhausted and the second one made a marginally higher high. It's definitely not a buy right now. It has done rather well though. But it's squeezed up, blow out the top. It's probably about to ease back. So Hashgraph, not now, has done well. It is a strong grower at the moment. It is interesting, has shown up. Couple of big bites of volume. Watch the liquidity though, quite low generally most days, depending on your size of course. But it's going to ease off a little, I would expect. So that's H-bar. It has pumped hard. Jacob, it has pumped hard, but currently looking the right now. Do you buy it right now? Not unless you want to bag hold a little bit of a dip here, which could be a big dip if you're unlucky, or a severe dip, or it could be minor, and it could set up a small setup quite quickly. I don't know, but I don't want to buy anything that in the short term is going to go down, and especially with no new fresh structure for upside, even though it should be watched because it is clearly a grower and a climber. So things that are successful in going up, don't just buy them anytime, but keep them on your watch list because they will reset up to go back up. So if you have a token that is climbing the charts of the market cap, he's showing potential. But you've got to watch it as a trend over the time because you'll have up and down days. So you need to see how it's going. One other thing I would like to look at is dollar index, because in every single one of these instances, we are measuring it against a fiat currency. Yuck. Yes, I know. Big falling wedge. You know about that. You know about the smaller one. You know about this break. You know about that break. You know about the return move. You know about the reassertion. And then actually, fiat has been quite weak right now, and you're just getting a candle on the 4-hour time frame, which is just pushing that back up. So some of those alts all just a little bit starting to face a headwind. Bitcoin is the one that is going to show the way. It is the God market, and it's coped pretty well with some fiat strength. But it is just resisting. Remember, it's just made our second interim. We posted it. 57K in the bag. Done. Second interim. So it's going to pause. Just like it paused there. Pause. Pause there. And it's come back up to it again. It can pause again. It's a 57,000 mark. Good people. And it is north of the neckline. It's playing in this iceberg zone, which we haven't seen that height before, except from that event. It's playing above the line of that. You've only ever spent above this price range here. And it was all a construct of a head and shoulders for reversal. So we're looking to build a higher profile above the neckline of 55,500. And we are respecting the 57,000 second interim on, in fact, it's the full target, my apologies, it's the full target of this pattern setup. It's the full target. What do you get? Progress decay. We can come back down again into this rising wedge, and then we can grind along it. We could even come out of it and then need to wind up for longer. So progress decay now because of the HVF. So Bitcoin isn't necessarily a buy this second. We were buying it down here. You got to be careful with timing. Entries absolutely matter. Entries absolutely matter. Right now, we're expecting it to pause and rest. And it is in a rising wedge, where there's a real threat of a sell-off, a return move, and then a bit of chillax. So we could actually have a soft weekend. Quite possible. A soft weekend. The 60K call is not the 60K for this weekend. I'm asking you that. What do you think? If we squeeze out the top in this wedge and we keep squeezing and stay in the wedge, we'll probably pop out the top and finish the business. We might even inflect on up with turbochargers. Everybody just FOMOs back in and can't bear to pay more than 60,000, and everyone realizes it's going to be 80,000, then they'd rather pay 70,000. You could have any of those. This is a key inflection point. That means what happens next will set the tone. And you could have a small puff off and then sell off, or you could have a moon. Or you could first rest before you get the 60 and then you moon through it. So quite a few options in there, but it is a key level. It's a key level while everyone else will be talking 75 and 100. You can see the selling coming in across the top of the wedge. That happens to also coincide with the full target and coming in again here on our splitter and this line. The 2 points. What else do you want to ask me? Ides of March, sell-off history. March is the month of my birthday. I'm looking forward to all your virtual gifts that you'll be sending me. Maybe there'll be raspberries or dirty jokes. I don't know. The Ides of March, I don't know what to make of that. Just because of the Caesar thing and all of that. Yeah, or who knows? Who knows? This is a bull market in Bitcoin, which is seeing institutional adoption. This is why that's already quite a big sell-off. And new people are getting in. You're going to find out about the pension funds and the hedge funds and the corporations that have added Bitcoin to their treasury that were buying here in 2 or 3 months' time. No one wants to declare we've just bought. The pension fund of Israel wants to look smart. Now they're in the money. Oh, we bought at the end of 2020. They announce it retrospectively to make themselves look smart. They wait until the situation makes them look smart. Then they announce it. No one wants to look idiot. Hey, we bought 58,000, and then it goes, dwish, have 43,000. Then everyone goes, are you the dumbest man in the room? You bought the local high. So they buy, and they may have bought at 58. They'll wait till it's 70, and then they'll say, we bought 4 months ago. That's kind of how it goes. The news always follows after the market price behavior. That is why we read the charts, not trade the news. Simple as that. The answer is here, my friends. But it doesn't write out the story. You've got to learn to chart read, and you've got to do it well if you want to have a chance. Why is Theta rising? No idea. Can't answer that fundamentally, but technically it was. We did give you a trade on Theta some while ago, which had good structure on it, and it performed. Some of you got bored with it. Then it suddenly performed when you got out. Or was that Nano? I think Nano also did a bit of that for you. There's Nano's structures. Both of them performed. You got given that on this platform. You were told about that trade. But some of you gave up on it, I think. I remember getting tweets. What's happening with Nano? Like, why is it late? Give me my money. I'm like, I'll give them a call, shall I? Would you like me to bell them? Yeah, that's life. But many of you are very grateful, and for that, we are grateful too. So this is classic. You get a very good quality HVF, and you get chronic overperformance. This was given to you on this channel. That Nano trade was given to you on this channel. This Theta trade was given to you, and we said overperformance possible. I haven't looked at this thing since. I closed. I'm okay. I'm not crying about it. But when you get good structured HVFs, that's what kind of happens. Why? Because it's accumulation. Somebody knows something and something is accumulated. Everybody has insider trading. Take my freaking guarantee for it. The notion that they say it's fair, that they need to maintain a masquerade in the equity. I'm talking about traditional markets now. Never mind about the unregulated in the ether crypto markets. In equities, in the traditional markets, insider trading is absolutely goddamn rife. Everyone, and our Israeli friends again, were piling into Apple a decade ago. They knew it doesn't matter if it's not selling more phones, it's going from 800 billion to 2.1 trillion. Choose the high-tech super growth stocks. Yeah, maybe they're super smart, but let me just say my suspicions are otherwise. And not just them, other people. Some people do research, some people pay for information, and then they just back. The only way you get the information is high quality, understanding what high quality HVFs were. And you got that move with a very tight funnel, and you could have left some on. You could have closed 75% and left some on, and you would have made again what you made. And this was a very good risk reward because it was super tight risk. You would have made it all over again on your 25%. You would have doubled your total trade return, and you could have overperformance bands on that. There's something going on. Thanks for making me look at it again. I haven't looked at it since I was done with it because I don't want to have too many little pieces of trades left on. After a while, where there has been a chance of overperformance, if you have little 25% here and 25, you can start to be scattered all over the place. So I tend to like focus, but every now and then it absolutely pays you. That was on this channel, not once, but twice. There were two setups on a smaller time frame as well. The setup before that. So yep, we got to go back and watch Theta. All these ones that are showing real upside climbing up the ladder. Theta is now inside the top 20, I think it was. What did it do? It set up an HVF. Yeah, you guys think this stuff is voodoo. There it is, number 16. It shot past Monero. That's sitting at number 23. I didn't even know what it was 6 months ago. Honestly. Carver, Zill, so many names. The Crypto Cypher. Please check out SOL's HVF. SOL. Do you think you have a good one there, Gojira? Okay, SOS. SOL, is that Solano? I'm assuming. Link is in the comments, by the way, if you would like to have that friendly chat with someone else who's trading the crypto markets and the general markets, building his wealth during reset season, thinks just like you, just maybe a year or two ahead in terms of his HVF trading, and you can have a chat and you can discuss all your concerns. And he's free and he has the time, but you've got to respect his time. Show up if you make an appointment. That's all we ask. Good. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. That's what is being brought. It's not what I'd say a screaming beauty queen, but it's kind of interesting, and my expectation is this will go up. We can do a draw for it. Overall, I would probably go across there. It's still pretty close. So a little bit of a falling wedge back into the funnel area and just getting ready to go. A little bit low slung. You'll learn about low slung. Volume by price will show a few things. You can learn all about that, but interesting. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I think we've put one or two that are slightly better in terms of structure, and best structure tends to win out more often, not universally 100% of the time, but tends to go higher, further, faster, overperform longer, be more reliable, and make more targets more often on a probability-based basis. But this is pretty decent, and I think if you're holding it for other reasons, there's a likelihood that something good might start coming for you. So it looks decent. Can I invest in DeFi this year? You certainly can. Will Bitcoin moon or fall this year? Please tell it with historical chart. I can't tell you whether DeFi will be better than Bitcoin unless you're specific to the DeFi token. And all I could do is give you a probability-based assessment. I actually like Bitcoin. I think every portfolio should have a cornerstone of Bitcoin in it. And I've continued to say that. Because on the days that the alts aren't working, Bitcoin marches. He keeps marching consistently. It's a less volatile journey, and he keeps moving. And there's steady demand for it. While alts can spike and dump and fall out of season, fall out of love for a while, then spike and go. And you often get bored and you move away and you miss the moves. So for most people, actually, having a cornerstone of Bitcoin, which is HODL Blue Pot, is very, very good for you. And occasionally, if you're following this channel, you'll see when we're putting on a little bit of leverage, mild leverage, just a little bit of, eke a little bit more out of it. I mean, this recovery, it's a nice, juicy 6-digit sum just on the Bitcoin alone, plus, onto what you have in there, without having to have huge accounts, trading very, very mildly. I'm talking about 15% of my core blue pot position on leverage. It's not even 50 on just the Bitcoin position. And it's still 6-digit sum. Go and have it. Go buy yourself something nice. Buy some silver. Get some AG calls as well. Don't just be in crypto. Good. Any other final comments? None? Okay, guys. Thank you very much for popping on. It's been great sharing this with you. So the main call is Bitcoin is in a good place, but it is going to progress decay, in summary, possibly for a bit. But after that, the next key level will be the 60K mark, where it might, after running through it, have a fairly harsh pullback. But it could also be exactly the opposite, and you'll know it when you see it. It could just start streaking. So there's a kind of either way risk. I'll take a little bit off, and if it streaks, I will still have someone to enjoy that. If it starts dropping, I'll cull it quickly so that I lock in my gains, get square again. Getting square is very neutralizing, very calming. Banking some profit, you can take that P&L, you can convert it into Bitcoin and some of your favorites, go do that. Binance, we like. It's just made a target too. So it could progress decay as well. We showed you that. And we said that little wind-up's just been made. You may get a chance to accumulate it lower down. So we made a strong case for Binance today, following making a case for DOT yesterday. So again, it looks good to us. It looks good, and it may, I'd have to work out the percentages, but DOT through 50 and Binance through 400, we'll have to see which actually works out the greatest percentage. You're getting a little bit of a pullback. Why? Progress decay. How about that? Isn't it fluky? All these purple lines we're drawing in advance, and the market pulls back from them. Isn't that funny? Have you ever seen a trading system that anybody else has presented to you live in advance that puts lines on the screen and calls key levels? That is the genius of HVF method. It's not me. You can do it yourself. I'm not looking for praise. I'm saying the method. You can be an operator of that method. Learn to do it properly. Don't waste your time. What you get free on YouTube is to give you an idea and a notion. Do it properly. Get wise. What you think you're saving, you're actually costing you tens of thousands of profits foregone that you've not made. Later entries, chasing markets that you could have been in sooner. That is the key reason why you learn to trade HVF method, guys. If I can't make the case to you, don't do it and carry on as you are. It's okay. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Maybe you think I'm wrong. Maybe you think it costs too much. Well, there isn't. There's options at all price levels to get you self-study. We want to help more people get better at their trading. We're here for retail traders winning. I am a retail trader. I want retail traders to win. I'm not here for brokers. I'm not here for the hedge fund industry. I'm not here for any of the other big players. They are all too well served by the politicians they have in their pockets and every other scam and insider element. The people, the marks. We are the marks. We are the carrion that they feed on. I'm here to try save you from being carrion that gets fed on by the vultures. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it. I mean that sincerely. By the way, watch out for frauds. Lots of people using images of my face, Facebook markets, using it. Please report it to us. We're reporting it all. We're closing them down. We're getting them on Trustpilot. I don't want any scam stuff on. I don't want anybody losing money thinking they're engaging with us. You only engage with us through our website. 3Ws, themarketsniper.com. Book everything through there. Anything else, unless you're on a newsletter and getting a newsletter from us once a month, is probably a scam. Please report it. Thank you so much for watching. We catch you later. Shares greatly appreciated. Bye for now.